after we had a good 5-6 months almost with just privacy, which was amazing.
Could Meghan's hatred for the Daily Mail be down to simply a misreported zip code? Remember that headline when she first started dating Harry that it said straight out of Compton? Could it be that they reported the 9888 zip code instead of the 210 zip code? Because let's not forget, our Megxie thinks she's posh. I mean, her father, you know, for her to be thought of being in a black neighborhood or be thought of as black is not a good look for her, is it? She wants the white zip code. Could it be that that is why Meghan Markle hates the Daily Mail? Because they reported that she was straight out of Compton? Remember what she said about Serena Williams when she had that podcast, and Serena Williams, and she says, Meghan said, I've never lived in Compton. And Serena Williams said, well, I did. What do you guys, let's get into this video and let's unravel this web of lies of the timeline of their relationship. And let's really get down to this dirty little bit of lies and why everything is falling apart. In order to start that, let's start from the beginning. Let's unravel their lies. And please keep these dates in mind. I even wrote them down because, you know, I'm forgetful. So I'm trying to be, you know, this is good for my attention disorder deficit that I have. So I am going to try and stick like a proper timeline if City allows me to. Okay? Let's start with Harry saying, let's start with this. You can see right here that Harry, on November 8th, 2016, he posted the statement where he said that his girlfriend was being attacked in the past week, that the racial undertones, please keep in mind the date and the racial undertones that it has. Okay, so that's November 8th. That is November 8th. Now, on the little clip you saw before, Harry, their engagement interview was on November 27th, 2016. In that interview, as you heard Meghan Markle, they had quite a few months of privacy before the news were made public, right? Now, Camilla Tominey, I think that's her name, published, the relationship became public on October 31st, 2016, on Halloween. Actually, it is, if we think about it now, it's quite befitting because it's quite scary. It's a scary story. Meghan and Harry's is not a love story. It's a horror story of deception and everything. So, Meghan Markle, if their story was published and made public on October 31st, 2016, and Meghan in the interview said that they'd had 5 or 6 months of privacy, how can they have met on July? Because if the story went public on October 31st, they must have had, and she says they have 5 or 6 months of privacy prior to their relationship becoming public. Now, that would put that they started an official relationship for, let's say, the beginning of May. That's the official relationship. But prior to that, they must have been seeing each other on and off, right? Would put them in April. There's a little problem with that, though. There's a little problem with that narrative. Because, as we can see, Meghan Markle was still with Corey Vitello in May, April, March. She was still with him. In fact, her agent, when she went to see her in June at the hotel, for I think to get her more humanitarian gigs, she told her, she said that Corey Vitello opened the door and Meghan Markle was wearing a towel. So Corey in June, at the end of June, was very much with Meghan Markle. So it's very clear. I mean, and this is not just one newspaper. This is many newspapers that were saying, you can see the headlines here. You can read it, you can pause, and you can read, that there were quite a few headlines about this. So let's get this straight right now, and let's really see what this is all about. Because basically Harry, with his earlier statement, the one that I showed you, is saying that within a week, that would be, and let's not forget that the 31st is Halloween, so nobody really paid attention or anything. It took 8 days for him to release that statement. So in 8 days, Meghan received so much hatred, according to him, that he, and with racial undertones, that he had to do something about it, right? Let's just look at this right now. So I went back. Please pause if you need to read the articles. I went back and I started looking and looking and looking at what articles there were. Actually, there weren't that many. The BBC posted something like, who is Meghan Markle? What do we know about Meghan Markle, the alleged girlfriend? Because even though Camilla Tominey published the article, it wasn't really sure. They weren't really sure about it. They were like, okay, it's an article that, it's rumored that he's dating this girl. They also say that whether or not she's actually dating Harry, just by dating him, she benefits. It would raise her profile, which is exactly what it was going on. Now, in those 7 or 8 days, let's say 31st, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 days, because it's 6 days. Let's give it 6 days, because the statement that Harry published was published on November 8th. So in 6 days, all the newspapers were still saying we're unsure the girl that Harry could be dating, because it was dating. It wasn't girlfriend, or rumored girlfriend. And they go, even by being rumored, like she still benefits because, PR-wise and all kinds of things. Harper's Bazaar. I mean, and they even said that they don't know who Meghan Markle is. You can read the articles. They say that they don't know who Meghan Markle is. That even though she's been in the business for decades, she's unknown. They're saying it there, that even though she's been there for decades, she's unknown. She's an unknown actress. And then we get to this headline. Harry's girl, almost straight out of Compton. Almost. And I think they put it in parentheses. Almost straight out of Compton. And actually they go and describe facts, which in the week alone, in the past week, that from the time that the article was published, which was November 2nd, I believe, 2016, there had been 47 crimes around the neighborhood where Doria lived. Now, Doria had moved into that neighborhood 5 years prior when her father died under shady circumstances. And there was a fight with her brother, which is why she wasn't talking to her brothers, to her black side of the family, because her brothers had fought with her for the house that her father's house. So she ended up taking it all for herself. This is why I think there's also tensions between Doria and her black side of the family, because her brothers had fought with her for the house that her father's house. So she ended up taking it all for herself. This is why I think there's also tensions between Doria and her black side of the family, because she fought tooth and nail for that rundown house. So, but it was the fact that 47 crimes had been committed in that past week, one of them a murder. It is the fact that it is near Compton. It's in Crenshaw. So the zip code is 90008 instead of 90210. And we know from her podcast with Zarina, how she says, well, I'm not from Compton. I don't know where they would get at that idea, because of course she grew up white. She grew up in posh areas. She grew up in private schools. Could that be the motive or the reason why she's so angry? Because in LA or California or in her world, a zip code makes a difference between everything. And she's always wanted to present this idea that she's posh, that she's a foodie, that this and that. There's that to think about, but there's also this other part to think about. Why Meghan Markle gave Harry an ultimatum. Because at that point, all the newspapers were unsure. And were they saying her rumored or alleged? It was giving her some publicity, but not all the publicity she wanted. It's not the same. The rumored girlfriend or dating, then actually Harry issuing a statement saying, leave my girlfriend alone. And why was that vital for her? Why was that vital for her? Because she needed the PR. It's not the same when Harry and the palace confirms her that she's Harry's girlfriend, because that makes it serious automatically. And that basically elevated her PR and her platform beyond any realm that any PR company could have given her at all. She went from being the alleged rumored girlfriend that nobody knew anything about it to the serious girlfriend that nobody still knew anything about it, but no, people were interested. And the reason why, it's my firm opinion, just my opinion, don't come for me, is that she wanted to clarify that she was not from Compton, that her zip code was 90210, not 90008. She wanted, and also she didn't want people digging into her past, into her life. This is why she used the race card or race bait. This is why Harry said racial undertones, because I have looked everywhere for anything racist. And the only thing that comes up is this article, and that Meghan kept going on. In her podcast, she said, they even said that I was straight out of Compton. She was insulted because she brought it up in that podcast. She was insulted. She was insulted. Because clearly she does not want to be out of Compton. She wants to be out of Beverly Hills, which is actually pretty close to where she were. So I ask you, beautiful people, why the lies? And then Harry, and the fact that he goes along with these lies. And I did a previous video about the deep connections that the royal family has to Soho House, how well acquainted they are, how they knew Meghan Markle. The York girls, Fergie and Prince Andrew, knew Meghan Markle very well, because she was hired all the time by the Soho House to be a filler, to walk the carpet, basically she was a hostess. So they knew, because she'd been at the parties. She knew Harvey Weinstein. There's absolutely no way that, and this is just my opinion, there's absolutely zero possibility, there's no way that Meghan Markle was in the same room with Harvey Weinstein and she wouldn't try to talk to him or audition for him. There's absolutely no way. So Harry is lending himself to the lies. It is my firm belief that, the stories about them meeting in 2015 are true. But, Harry was still unsure about her, because we've seen the pictures about Meghan Markle. She wasn't that attractive. She looked disheveled. And even now, Meghan Markle is not clean looking. Have you noticed that? She's not clean looking. I look cleaner when I do my videos from the farm and I'm covered in dust and soil than she does. So I really do believe that they were, looking at each other on Instagram. Meghan Markle was trying to hook him up. And then, when he was vulnerable enough, that Wimbledon appearance, That Wimbledon appearance right that week in July, at the end, the beginning of end of June, beginning of July, she was already hooking up. She knew she was hooking up with Harry. And she was sending signals to him, I am here. I am as important. And Misha Nunu and all those other girls knew what she was doing. She hooked up with him on July 1st when he went to Soho House to meet her. That was the serious hookup. They had sex, they went upstairs, they had sex, and the next day they had lunch. He was right, back to back, in July 1st and July 2nd. On Princess Diana's birthday, how diabolical is that? On July 1st, because Meghan knew all about him. So this is why they have to lie. This is why their lies don't stack up to reality, because they forget all the lies they've told, and they forget. They're trying to gaslight everybody. They're trying to sell a Cinderella story, when at best it was, Meghan wants to sell this, I'm a pretty woman story, a Cinderella story, when it's actually a horror Halloween story. So very appropriate that Camilla Tominey published that story on October 31st, 2016 on Halloween. Because now that we've seen what's happened, it really befits that story. So I ask you, beautiful people, do you think that is possibly something as petty as a zip code that made Meghan Markle angry? Because in that podcast with Serena Williams, she made a point of saying she was not from Compton, even though Serena proudly said she was. It was like a point for her to make that. And that's just because of that headline. That is not a racist headline. Her mother was near Compton. In her neighborhood, there had been 47 crimes committed, one of them murder, just in the past week. And yes, nobody knew anything about Meghan. Even the newspapers in the United States were saying, who's this girl? She's been around for decades and we still don't know anything about her. So, or do you think that she wanted Harry to put that statement, verifying that it was a serious relationship? Because whether that relationship went anywhere or went nowhere, she wanted the PR. She knew that the PR would be, so many things would open, because everybody would want to talk to her about being close to the royals, whether she ended up with Harry or not. Because the headlines for that past week, although they were creating some buzz around her, it wasn't enough. Also, Meghan Markle knew she was being written out of the show. So by having those headlines out there, she knew that maybe Suits would, she was hoping that Suits would do a spinoff on her. We'll see. But what do you beautiful people think? What do you beautiful people think? Don't forget that tomorrow I have my live with Kinsey Schofield, the amazing Kinsey Schofield. Please join in. It's at 1 p.m. California time or 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hope you can join me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for coming to my channel. But do leave me your comments.